Hello, and welcome to our studio here in Tysons, Virginia. I'm Seth Behrensweig, and we're here today in our program to talk to you about the economic recovery, what's next and what to expect. We'll be taking a unique perspective today, going on the ground level of talking about exactly what's happening not only from a national and from a local level, but also in terms of what's happening out on Front Street with businesses and executives as everybody leans forward through this historic crisis. At this moment, I'd like to bring in Declan Leonard. Declan, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Seth. Great to be with you here again today. What a great event we have today. We're once again in the podcast studio of BL Media Group here in Tysons in our office at Behrensweig Leonard. I am, again, Declan Leonard. I'm the co-managing partner along with you, Seth, and I head up the employment law practice. We once again are joined by Todd Castleberry, our great producer here. And, this is what a great opportunity. Kudos to Virginia Lawyers Weekly for having the foresight to say, you know what, we need to be talking about what's going on, what's the path ahead for businesses.
Yeah, exactly. This is a tremendous opportunity, and although there's a lot of great things that are otherwise being covered in the media, I think that we're really going to take a different approach today to really talk about it from a unique perspective. We're going to talk about it and break it down from a national and federal level. Then we're going to dig deep down into the state level here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and then we're going to go and talk to someone who works directly with companies and CEOs. So why don't you and I just get it teed up and talk about the big picture on the national and federal level. And let me just throw it out with this immediate question. What are some of the biggest high-ticket items, the biggest and most important elements that companies are facing right now as we sit here and speak as they weather through this crisis?
So the three magic letters that we've heard so much about the last 3 months, PPP,
right.
The Paycheck Protection Program, the federal program, that really has been one of the greatest lifelines. It's really been a great partnership. I said it at the beginning. I said, please don't make me eat my words, federal government. There have been a few hiccups, frankly, more at the banking level, if anything else,
right.
although not with our great banker, Tim Funkhauser. But there have been some hiccups. But generally, that has been an amazing lifeline to allow companies not to put money in line their own pockets, but to put money in the hands of employees and to help them
right.
keep the lights on for rent.
Yeah, and as much as Congress and the White House takes their share of knocks on both sides of the aisle, frankly, I think that Congress has come through and the White House has signed off on a lot of major historic things that are really plugging in on a daily basis. We're talking about PPP, the Federal Relief Acts. How are these things playing in? Because one of the most important things that we want to focus on today from a unique standpoint is what's happening as we're sitting here right now today on the front lines of business in the Washington, D.C. region as to how it relates to keeping these companies alive and thriving.
Yes. Right now, we were talking for so long about PPP, again, talking about getting the funds in hand, making sure their certifications were accurate, that they were comfortable with these certifications. Now we're all talking about, okay, we're spending the money. Congress thankfully came up and extended the period of time. Now you only have to use 60% for payroll, down from 75%, and 40% for rent and some of the other incidentals.
More flexible.
That's right. Seth, it's amazing, though, for as much as you and I sort of live this, and most of our clients seem to always want to talk about it, it's always front and center in their minds. Now that we're able to get out a little bit, I was at a restaurant last weekend with my family, and I was talking to the owner, and I said, "How are things going?" Great restaurant in Mosaic District here in
right.
Fairfax County.
Happy to just get out, right?
Oh, just happy. People were all over the place. It was just great. But I asked the owner, I said, "How you been doing?" And they said, we're barely hanging in there. And I said, "Well, did you get PPP funds?" And she said, well, it's still in flux. We still haven't gotten it yet. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most, because what we've been trying to do through these podcasts, through our alerts, is to get the word out to businesses. We don't charge for them, but we just want the word out to businesses and our clients that this is available for everybody out there and to keep them afloat.
Right, and I think the relief acts are something that are a huge element for us to talk about too, because it's all about the strategy. It's all about deploying and understanding how are you going to make these things work, because it's all about taking care of your critical assets, which first and foremost is your workforce, but also preservation of capital. How do those things come together in terms of helping companies not only survive but thrive with some specific strategies based on this new legislation?
Yeah, so I think what they need to do is they really just need to take stock of, okay, what is it that we need? What is it that we need to spend for the next 24 months? It used to be an 8-week, 24 weeks. Sorry.
Right.
Not yet. Maybe that's the next legislation. 24
Hopefully not.
weeks. Yeah, that's right. And then take stock and say, look, we're no longer in my opinion, survival mode. When you and I started doing these, maybe about 3 months ago, we said, how do we get through June? How do we see the light in the summer?
Right.
Now we're looking at how do we not only get through the next couple of months, but how do we really thrive? And frankly, capture 2020 as not, at the end of the day, a real bad year from an economic standpoint. Meaning, not that people made great profits, but did we survive? Did we keep people employed? Because at the name of the game, small business, that's the name of the game. Is they're the driver for jobs and really how our country thrives.
Huge challenges, big headwinds. Onboarding's going to really be at the top of everybody's mind right now. What are some of the elements and strategies that you're seeing right now? Because we are going back into, as we say, turning the lights back up.
Yes.
Onboarding folks back into business. What are the strategies and what are the discussions that you're seeing on the front line?
You know, it's interesting. You know, that's the biggest question now is, are you reopening? And when we say reopening, we're not talking about reopening the business. Thankfully, many businesses, we know hospitality industry has been hit hard, but many businesses have been able to keep things going through a lot of fortitude and resilience and creativity. Teleworking, employees have just been, we've seen it in our own firm here, how well everyone has just stepped up. But now they're talking about turning the lights back on in the workplace, meaning,
Right.
you know, and again, I still think, we've talked about this before, that's going to be a gradual process. First thing you absolutely have to do, whether you're turning your lights on this month, next month, or even when school presumably starts up in August and September.
Right.
Get yourself a written return to the workplace plan. We've been doing these for clients left and right, and you would say, well, washing your hands and social distancing by now is second nature. Why do we need all of that? You need it. It's critical.
Well, and there'll be a discussion between the difference between policies and waivers. Waivers can work. They have some unique challenges to them. But here's, Declan, here's what I'm noticing and what I think a lot of executives and a lot of business leaders are feeling, not only in this region, but throughout the United States. There's going to be a huge tension between the possibility of a resurgence, regardless of how moderate or not moderate it might be,
Second wave, yep.
as to what they call the second wave and needing to take care of people on the one hand, but also keeping those lights back on. I will tell you, and it's my prediction, the United States economy is never getting turned back off again. We're going to have to weather through this. We're going to have to push through this. There's going to be ways that we can navigate through it. If you know where the storm clouds are, you know how to be able to shift your flight pattern. But how do businesses deal with this upcoming conflict between bringing people back and also having to deal with the fact that they're going to be having some challenges? Look at what's happening with McDonald's. Look at these challenges that are going on in the courts throughout the United States. And some of these cases are being dismissed and some of them are not. So you have inconsistency that's going from coast to coast.
Yes, the legal liability is going to be a big issue.